Welcome back to the Street Shaman Podcast. I am your host, Shamanic Poe, aka Poe and the Rockstar, and today I'm here with a very special guest, the UK rapper, singer, musician, Ben Hunter. How you doing, my guy? How you feeling?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me, bro. It's a long time coming. I've been looking forward to speaking to you, Poe. So, yeah, it feels good to be here. It's nice to just be sat with a glass of wine and be able to, sit and
Right,
chat, man. Yeah.
right. That's very UK of you. You sitting there with a glass of wine. I'm over here sipping beer, just the
But
cheapest beer you can find.
swap roles.
But right. I mean, I definitely used to have the wine. I used to have my pinky up every fucking time I drank wine.
Yes, sir.
Now I just drink a fucking beer. But yeah, I appreciate you coming by and shit. It's funny because I've had people who I hit up, yo, you want to come through and be on the podcast? And their numbers way lower than ours, both of ours, right? And they will be like, let me see your numbers. Let me see what's going on. Like, I'm giving you the opportunity to meet some people that could possibly be your fan down the road. You know what I mean? Like all the way down the road. And they'll be sitting there like acting like they're holier than thou, like they're bigger than who they are. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
appreciate you coming through. So let's start off with a low ball question. How long have you been making music?
Probably around 10 years now. Like I've always made music, but I suppose in regards to like pushing it as something that I want to do for a career, I suppose around 10 years. I spent some time out in Ibiza and I was a rep and I used to do like freestyle battle stuff and kind of came back from there and was like, yeah, man, I need to be recording. I need to do this as kind of a full-time thing or at least pursue it as a career. And I've kind of gone full circle. I'm kind of back in a position where I'm just making music for the love of it. I think I've been living in a smoke screen of what the world kind of pretends you should be, but without actually being myself. So yeah, I've kind of come full circle, man. It's strange.
No doubt. So what do you mean by the smoke screen? Like what would you classify the smoke screen to be?
I think like the thing like, when you're well, for me anyway, I suppose as you're younger, you're trying to find your purpose or like the who you are, where you stand in the world. And obviously you look around your peer groups and you see what people think is cool and you spend, I don't know, 90% of your life trying to fit in. I'm now realizing that the 10% of time that I had left is actually the ability is to not fit in. If you're part of what's going on, the normal or whatever, that's not a good place to be. Like it was the things that made me unique, which was where I should have stayed and focused my attention. Spent a lot of time just trying to fit into the kind of narrative of what a rapper should say and, the kind of ideas that we all should speak of, I suppose. And now it's kind of like, actually, no, I'm going to say whatever I want to say, regardless of the outcome, even if only 4 people listen to it and get something for it. I'm not going to play the game anymore. I'm just doing things my way now.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's kind of where I'm at right now too. Because it's kind of hard to, if that's not who you are, if you're not a piece of shit person that's just doing all this bullshit, it's kind of hard to try to rap about this shit just to please someone else. And I would, make certain songs that would please a bunch of people, big crowds of people. And then when I'm listening to it on my own, I'm cringing. I'm like, nah. Why did I even say that? Like that's like every time I heard it, I was like, ugh, you know what I mean? I'm sure you had the same type of experience.
For real, man. Yeah, it's like you if you can't if you can't look at yourself in the mirror every day and be okay with that, then you're going wrong somewhere. And I've definitely done that, and I have no shame. I hold my hands up. I've definitely done that. What you'll find is then as you start to go off in your own lane, and I'm sure this is the same for you. You tend to then actually now I'm getting like a bigger response from people, or people are kind of coming along and like my crowd, the people that I should be, my audience are there now. Whereas I've been trying to cater to someone else's audience, it's probably just a growing up thing. And similar to what you just said at the start, then when you're like people will ask you about your numbers and about, what's going on and are we going to talk or what, numbers are irrelevant. Even if I just sit in here and it's just me and you talking, I wanted to talk to you. I think you're interesting. You know what I mean? So the second that people start throwing those conversations at me, I switch off now because you're just not there. You're playing the numbers game. I'm not into it.
Right. Me either. Not at all, man. So that leads into this question. how do you feel about the state of the industry, the state of the music culture as a referred to rap culture, um, and the way the whole industry works, like the playlist things and having to get on playlists to get certain numbers. Like, how do you feel about all that?
I think like everything, it's not just like industry wide. I think as a culture, like as a, I honestly feel like in the world we're all part of a single organism. We're all part of one thing. So at the moment, this one thing is substance or style or clout over. Sorry, it's style or clout over substance. So everything is based on what things look like as opposed to what they actually are.
Right,
So I feel like this is happening not just within music, but within film, within a lot of the arts is where you see it the most, is where that it's obviously the heaviest jewelry, the biggest chain, the most women, the most money, the cars, the action is what
right,
kind of takes the limelight and what people are looking for, which
right,
is a shame because I feel like deep down as a culture, we're actually all craving authenticity.
right,
Everybody's craving to see something like just stripped back and real. Like I fell in love with music because like artists like Parker, Eminem, Biggie could put their heart into a record, and you could take a little bit of that person with you everywhere, and you could learn from
right,
that. And now, what do I learn from these artists? What do I get from them? Oh, what, great! You've hustled. You've done what? Who are you? You're just the same as the next icon. That's going to be just what you'll be gone, and there'll be a new one,
right,
just a swipe,
right.
and it
Absolutely.
forces.
To me, it feels like I'm bored with it too. But to me, it feels like it's just some type of conditioning and brainwashing. Because like, why is this the only thing that we're really seeing? Like, why is it only like one Kendrick Lamar and one J. Cole or whatever, and then the rest of those motherfuckers are all the same cookie cut in this terrible way that just brainwashes the youth and the people to do bullshit in their life.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
what do
for
you
real.
think's going on as far as in the industry that continues to perpetuate that same narrative?
It's really hard to like have these like when you have these conversations to not like lean too into the madness behind what makes the industry tick. Um, I think even from I suppose in light of what just happened at the that concert in the States where the kids died or whatever, even I just have a feeling that people are pulled to this, and at this moment in time, there's a battle of two energies in the world, and some people are pulled to that side of music and that sort of lower energy frequency. And if we're all at that level, then that type of music's going to drag people in more. I don't think that you get, for example, I don't think you get 8 people dying at an Ed Sheeran concert. Do you see what I mean? Or I don't think you get 8 people dying at a Adele concert or whatever, you know? Um,
Right,
Back to the kind of question, I suppose, I think that there's obviously some sort of agenda behind keeping people scared or keeping people thinking that these commodities are going to make them happy, the money, the women, the accessories, the ego, the clout. I think there's definitely some sort of agenda behind making people believe that. But
right,
firsthand, I've had, money, I've had some success, and it's actually made me miserable. The reality of trying to
right.
keep up the image makes you so miserable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you touched on the Astro World deaths and stuff. And a lot of what I seen was a lot of people talking about that it was Travis Scott's fault. Like he should have just stopped
Mm,
it.
no.
Um, how do you feel about that? Do you think that it's all his fault? Like you perform. When you're performing, you're like you're somewhere else. Like you're in a different world. They're there, but you're not really paying attention. You can't pay attention to everybody. And then if you're talking about like 50, 100,000 people or whatever, you can't pay attention to everybody. You're on go mode. You're like you. It's almost like seeing red. Like you just gotta fucking go, right?
For real, yeah. I don't think you can blame him for any of that, to be honest. I think obviously the people that organised the event. Well, first of all, I don't know enough about how they died, and so I don't want to comment because I don't know. But I think if it's a case of people were crushed because there was too many people there, then that's down to the people who let them in. The event's too busy, then that type of stuff shouldn't happen. Or the production team that were kind of keeping an eye on it. I think what I did feel after watching it was obviously you look and some of the stuff out there's crazy about like how it was a sacrifice, and these people, there was 8 flames, so 8 people was that's too far gone for me.
Why do you think? I'm sorry to cut you off, but why do you think people are like going so crazy, like in that direction, just going with this woo-woo idea of like, oh, there was a sacrifice. This is what he needed to do. This is Illuminati or some shit. Like, no, you guys were fucking going crazy, not paying attention. I'm a festival goer. Like, I haven't been to festivals in years, but when I was younger, I used to go to all the festivals I can possibly find.
For real.
People used to get hurt and knocked out and shit, but no one died because everybody was like paying attention to everybody around them. So if somebody fell, somebody would be right there to pick you back up. Like I remember falling at a concert. And falling, like we all fell like dominoes. Everybody fell. And just like this, everybody got pulled back up. Like we all fell, oh shit. And then they just pulled us back up. We was like, yeah. But nowadays, it seems like people don't really have much consideration for other people. They're only thinking about themselves. Maybe they're getting too high. I don't know. I never been that high to the point that I can't give a fuck about somebody that's on the floor and they're about to get trampled. Like that's never been me. You know what I mean?
Never been my experience, and I've been pretty fucking high, and I've never thought like that.
Right, right.
I've been pretty fucked up, but I've still been. If there was people like in trouble or something, you kind of snap out, don't you? And you, right. So yeah, man, like I can understand like the references. Like for me, it is dark. Some of the music that they make is dark, and maybe they play on these references to demonic stuff to kind of keep the story and stuff going and keep people entertained almost, I suppose, like if there's something else to talk about. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a bit too far down the rabbit hole for me.
It's a little absurd because everybody, you know, it's like almost the same people that are telling you to follow the science are just anti-science when it comes to like the majority of their life, right? So one of that last song that you put out, Jericho, right? Fucking love that shit, man. Right?
Thank you, man.
What inspired you? And I think this kind of goes into what we're talking about here, but what inspired you to make a track like that?
I think like a lot of so like just briefly, I suppose the last couple of years has like been difficult for me musically because I was like obviously I was trying to make it. I had a manager that was encouraging me to make music and things outside of probably like my comfort zone in regards to that. I know that everything is based around TikTok and Instagram numbers and stuff now, but I didn't get into music to do TikTok or Instagram. I got into it because I like writing songs and putting songs out there for people. They're not for me. So I think like this record was and the reason I put this out first was because it was like a song for everybody. And it was the first time that I'd sung on a record rather than just rapping. I used to sing when I was younger, but I kind of lost the confidence in it because it wasn't cool. As I got older, everyone's like, what you sing? But if you rap, everyone's like, oh, you're a rapper.
Same here, man.
Yeah, same experience, yeah.
Right, same here, man. Like I definitely I sang good as a kid. They put me they was like, okay, try out for choir in grammar school. Went to do the choir tryout, and literally he was like, you can I'm gonna put you where I need you because you can do all the octaves.
The ranges, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, you can he was just trying to press you like it was one of those me type shits like fa dee dee da dee da do fa dee dee da dee, you know.
Yeah, I know them ones.
And like a lot of people went there for fucking just to like fuck off and not be in class. So like, oh, we're just gonna go do the tryout for choir. And they thought I was one of those people. And then I actually went and started singing. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Poe's got a voice on him.
But my confidence in singing like live or even when it's time to record is very, very trash. I need to continue to work on that shit as far as singing because same as you, it wasn't cool. I was a kid rapper. I was rapping since I was fucking 8, 9 years old, right? So
for real.
Being a fucking kid rapper, like you get all those experiences, you get to see like how people react to certain things. And you also get to understand what the artist is doing. Like if you are a good kid rapper, I felt like I was. Um, you could see where they're taking things or why they're doing this certain thing, and it just became annoying to me. So when it comes to like the industry stuff, like yes, I wanted to make it to do some industry stuff, but I still wanted it on my own terms. So even
Mm,
when I was doing like, okay, this is what people like, I'll just put my own little mix into that. I'll be like, all right, we'll do it like that, but kind of different. Like I wouldn't do it exactly the way everybody else is doing it, because
yeah,
then what the fuck? What do you need me for? You already got somebody else making that song,
for
right?
real. Yeah,
Did you
that's
feel
exactly
like
how I
that?
feel.
You felt like that making Jericho?
Yeah, that's I suppose like that's kind of we structured it the way that we did, so that the rap verse was at the end. So that what people know me for is the rapping. But I was like, actually, to begin with, we had that as one of the middle verses, and I was like, no, let's take that and we'll stick that at the end, because that's the message. The clean of that record in particular is the words at the end. And
Right.
I wanted to show that, and like like moving forward, I'm having singing lessons. There's a lot more focus around that, because I think if you can do both, then it opens up the ability of how it's just for expression for me now. I don't care about the numbers. I'm not fussed about whether I make loads of money about this stuff. I don't care anymore. I just want to become the best artist I can and give people the best version of me I can. And that
And
was
that's
like,
the
yeah, to do that, I had to put that foot forward. I had to put Jericho out, and I didn't want to, bro. I didn't want to. Like all my friends were
no.
like, "This is sick," and I was like, "Bro, I can't." It made me feel sick because it was
What?
so vulnerable.
Jer- what
Yeah,
Jericho? Because
yeah.
it was too emotional, right? It's like it's hard. It's like you going out naked. You know what I mean? It's like you're walking around naked and shit. Like everybody
I'd
gets
have
to see
preferred
your
that, to
shit.
be honest, bro. I enjoy being naked, bro. Singing songs, on the other hand, well, it's just because it's it was the way that the song was put together was it's from my heart. That is how I feel. I feel like we need to stop building walls. I feel like we need to show each other that we love each other, and that it is as simple as that. I'm the happiest is when I'm around good people that are all happy. I don't need to
Right.
be around people that have got loads of money and they all think, and who's cooler because they've got XYZ. That I've never felt happy in that position. But if there's like 10
Right.
people around a campfire all singing a song, everyone's got their arms around everyone. That's what life's about for me. But that's the
It
contrary
is.
narrative. So that's why it was so difficult to put it out.
Right, right, right. It's like you're just going against the grain. And that song in particular, that I'm sure you probably know, you're in UK. That song reminded me of the super group Hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
That's exactly, and I'm like, and they're
Yeah,
fucking amazing. So when
I'll
I
take
heard
that.
that, I was like, you take that, you'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Thank you, bro.
reminded me of some, like the supergroup Hurt, and I'm like, wow, this shit is fucking dope. Like I was listening to it right like earlier as I'm writing down my questions and making sure everything's right for you. I was getting chills and shit. I'm like, damn, this motherfucker's giving me chills over here. You gotta stop playing.
Damn.
But yeah, man, how is the local rap scene in UK in London? Where are you at exactly? Are you in London?
I'm actually at the moment. I'm in North Devon. So I was in London for 10 years.
Okay.
The lockdown happened. I was with an ex. We lived together. Long story short, it was a very rough relationship. I left London. I came back to Devon with the intention to move back. I was here. I've been here for about 2 years. No, a year now. Jeez, it feels like so long. And yeah, I've just realised that I can do both. London's a great place. I go there every month for a week. I stay in like a hotel and I'm in a studio blocked out for a week. And then the rest of my time I work remotely down in Devon. I've just bought a house here and it's by the beach, it's on the sea. I've got a little bit more clarity here. Um,
Right.
so yeah, man. So I'm in Devon. The rap scene in Devon is non-existent. I'm the only one. It's like I don't know what the equivalent is in America, but it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Everyone with bits of straw hanging out their mouth. It's like hillbilly town, you know. So yeah, I'm kind of like the only person doing that style of stuff. But in London and in the UK at the moment, I suppose it's big, but it's a lot of. I don't know if you're familiar with like drill music and It's like the stuff you have in Chicago. Like that's kind of transferred to the UK now. The drillings and the gang. Let's all kill each other stuff. You know, it's popular.
It is so ridiculous, man, because like I'm sure you've seen the Island Boy memes and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And
Fucking drives me
that
mad.
right, it's like, and what drives me mad about that type of stuff is that here you have two bozos. They don't fucking know, they don't even know how to really do this. They look fucking weird. They got all these tattoos, and the majority of people don't realize that they are helping their fame by continuing to make fun of them.
I know.
Putting up memes about them and little spoofs here and there. It's like what you're doing is helping their promotion. If you didn't like that stuff, you just ignore it. You don't post it. Like you don't put a meme, nothing. You just ignore that shit. That's
Yeah,
not for
for
me.
real.
But the majority of people end up just going, "Oh, that's funny. Let's make fun of it," until it becomes as big as it does. It's the
Yeah.
same that happened with like 6ix9ine and a bunch of different rappers, where you make fun of them first, like Soldier Boy. You make fun of him first,
Mm.
and then you make fun of him for so long, you kind of go, "But I kind of like this," and then and then it's like, "What are we doing?
I know.
Just don't even engage at all."
I know.
Right?
But what I've noticed as well, and I think it must be like something down to like human nature, is that people tend to engage on that level, on like, oh, look at this fucking idiot, or look at this person get, you know what I mean, rather than, oh my god, have you seen how cool this is, or like this, I heard this was like mind blowing for me. It's like on like, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm like, I think like a wide proportion of people tend to interact, through that kind of negative lens, as opposed to like saying, wow, this really helped me, or this person's great. They'll say, look at these two fucking idiots with sideshow bob hair covered in tattoos singing about islands or whatever. Because it's easier to do that. It's harder to actually show you that you care about something,
Right. It's especially when it's new. If it's something that everybody's out there in your circle talk about, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get a couple cool points by saying I listen to this or I rock with this, as opposed to when you're new and you could be as dope as you want. If the numbers don't, add up to them, they'll look at you like, the majority of people anyway, they'll look at you and be like, yeah, he's good, but no one's paying attention to him.
Yeah.
But if you're trash, if you're complete garbage and you look like, you know what I mean? You look like a fucking clown, you look ridiculous, then okay, let's promote this, let's make fun of it, but at the same time, you don't realize you're pushing the engine forward.
Yeah, for real.
Right?
We had a talk about this the other day back in the studio when I was last in London, about making a record that kind of, we'll just do all of these things. Like, I'll do all of these things, and just to prove a point. Just to prove that if I hire these cars, get these women, talk about these things, just to prove a point. Because I reckon it would do better than anything I've ever released. And I've got the ability to do that. I know the people that make those style of videos, and I purposely haven't, because I've always been like, you know what, just stick to what you believe, and that's enough. But just to make a point, I might just really poke fun at it and do a tune like that, just to be like, look, oh, now you're listening, What about all the other ones that I've done before,
Right. Yeah, that was kind of my strategy. Like when I was 24, 25, like that was my strategy. I was looking at things to try to be as ridiculous as possible, to make people laugh, so that way people could talk about me.
Yeah.
And it worked. But the problem with that is now everybody takes you as a joke.
Yeah.
So now you really don't have anybody's respect like that. So even though that's part of my nature, I like to make fun and joke around and fuck around and shit. But excuse me, beer burp.
There it is.
But at a point in time, you start to like feel a little crappy because everybody's just looking at you crazy. They're looking at you for funny, for lols. They could never take you serious. So I had to like fall back from that. I had to fall back from
Yeah,
that.
rather than it's incredible. Yeah, no, I feel you. I think that is a dangerous, like you can step into that and be known as that person. Yeah? But that's another thing, isn't it? It's getting people pigeonholing, and you're only allowed to make one style of music or one genre of sound, you know, which I also
Right.
find bizarre. But there actually, when you do go through this to this, you know, for an extended period of time, and you get to a place where like you don't care about what the other stuff, it really is irrelevant. You can do whatever you want. There isn't any rules. There really isn't any rules. It's just that you've been contextualized and programmed to believe that you have to do everything a certain way, not just in music. This is in everything. You don't have to do
Right.
anything in any way, actually.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
what do you think? Why do you think people are so easily programmed now? Why do you think people are so easily convinced that if everybody's doing it this way, you got to do it this way? You know, it's like everybody got to do a dance on TikTok for this song, for your song to be popular or whatever. But that's not true. There's plenty of people that come out with music that doesn't really get the TikTok type of,
Mm.
you know, exposure, but it could still do well as far as numbers. Why do you think people are so confused on that matter?
I think it's a lot easier, isn't it, to copy a trend or to follow a group. Is to look around. If you're in a room of 10 people, nine of those, you're in a room of 10 people. Eight of those people are doing, have been asked to do a task, and they're doing it one way. And you know in your mind, I could do that task quicker, more efficient, and to a higher standard if I do it this way. But there's still a part of this going well, but the other eight people are doing it that way. So I think it's like it's easier. It's easier to copy everybody else and to continue and to be a part of a group as a collective than it is to be an individual. And B, it's harder to do the work and accept responsibility. I feel like we have a huge issue of responsibility in this like culture in this day and age. Like no one wants to take responsibility for fucking anything. They just want to blame the next person or the higher up for something else. But actually, when you take sole responsibility, it relieves you of all of this depression, this anxiety, this discontent with life, because you realize that you're the person in control. You're the person behind the wheel. But everybody now wants to, I'm so depressed. Look at what the government have done. Or, okay, they're making some horrible decisions at the moment, and I don't agree with any of them. But they still, you know, I'm still in control of me and my world. And like, if enough people took a bit more responsibility for themselves rather than kind of accepting the herd, that we wouldn't be in half of the problems that we're in, I think.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the issue. It's a lot of people not trying to take accountability. Um, you know, we got Richard here in the chat. He's talking a bunch of shit about ass cheeks and painkillers over here.
Yeah, that's the man.
But I do feel like I
What's
do
he
feel
talking about? Ass cheeks.
he's you know he's getting perverted over here on the
Ass
in the
cheeks and
chat.
painkillers. He just said, "I'd love to
He
see you
said,
both do it. Satirize a genre without clowning." Yeah, maybe that's a collab for us to do, Poe. Maybe we could do a
"Yeah,
collab. You rip the kind of
yeah,
American mainstream, and I'll rip the UK mainstream.
I'm down with that, man. I'm
Yeah.
down with that for sure. I'm down with that for sure." Because a lot of it's just so many people. It's hard to understand why so many people are narcissistic today. I mean, it's not like I guess that's me being naive because with everything that's going on in the world, how can people not be so narcissistic if they're just completely programmed to be consumers? And it's like if you're a consumer or you're a customer, the customer is always right.
Yeah, for real.
So if you live your life like that, like I'm just a consumer, I'm just a customer, and I'm always right, then how do you learn from your pitfalls? How do you take accountability for the things that you've done in your life?
You never have
The
to
things that
anymore.
happen.
You never have
No,
to. No one has to take
no.
responsibility anymore. There's always someone else to blame or, an excuse. And like, I don't want to be like a diehard. Like I read, and I've been listening to a lot of David Goggins and Jocko Willink's like extreme ownership and like, listening to those guys talk about how to take control of it. It's not like when you first listen to it, you think these two are just psychopaths who are just crazily, you know, there's no way I could ever be that determined or that disciplined. But actually, that's the ultimate gate to freedom. It, like, the second you take that responsibility for your own shit, and you stand guard of your own fortress, and, you know, in the most metaphorical sense possible, I don't have a fortress, but if you stand guard of your own
Right.
life and you take responsibility, then all these issues that you felt along the way, they completely disappear. But I suppose, like, now, like, especially, like, I don't want to hate on the generation. I'm sure that there's many a great thing that's going to come from Gen Z, and I'm sure that they're amazing in regards to the way that they're going to influence the future. I don't doubt that for a second, but I do think that if we continue to be rewarded in the sense that everything is someone else to blame, that we can only head one way, and that's disaster. I don't think that and people are miserable now. You know, this is probably the best time that you could probably be on this planet. We have everything, and people are miserable and ruining everything, and we're destroying the world. So
right.
what does that tell you?
We're fucked. That's what that tells me. We're fucked.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to quote that. Polar Rock, we're fucked. 2021.
We're fucked. We are, man. It's like there's nothing you can say if you try to like some people need shaming at this moment. You know, you need to be shamed. Like, hey, dog, what you're doing is corny. What you're doing is butt cheeks. You can't be doing this shit no more. But
100.
Nowadays, there's like a victim mentality where you're just, hey, you can't say nothing to that person, even though they're doing the most bullshit that they can possibly do in their life. You can't really call them out, because now they're like, how can you say that about me?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the victim mentality and how it's going on in the world today?
I almost said bring back bullying then for a second, because you would not get away with half. Yeah, I know that's an awful thing to say, isn't it? I mean, like, obviously not to the extent that things were, you know, when you were younger, but like some of the stuff, like, I suppose a good example is there's a couple of guys, I'm not going to name any names, who I came up with, who were making music around the same time as me, that have gone on to do just the most insane type of content on some of the social sites, and portray stuff that I know full well that they're not about. You know, I know these people, and I think, like, back in the day, if you'd have turned up at school after making one of these like videos of yourself just like talking about bullshit and just like completely just every angle, and you would get absolutely, everyone would be like, what were you doing last night on your camera, you dickhead? Like, you wouldn't be able to get away with that. Everyone would hammer you. And I think that's right. I think we missed that in culture. We missed that because now people can't even have a bit of banter. If you chuck like a little insult around in like a pub at a younger, they're like, oh my God, he just attacked me. Right. No, bro, I was just having a bit of like back and forth. I'm not, do you know what I mean? And now and we're just creating weakness rather than, you should be able to have a little bit of back and forth, you know? And I don't think that people would make I don't think they'd make the videos that they make if every once in a while someone went, what are you doing? Why would you say that? Yeah, exactly, Richard. Bring back bullying. BBB, that's Ben Hunter's new slogan. Oh dear.
Bring back bullying. Seriously,
bullying.
Man. Like
mixtape.
the new mixtape coming soon. Bring
BBB.
back bullying. What's good? Make sure you check that out. No. But yeah, it's like growing up, we had to joke. I have a brother that's 5 years older than me. His friends was always around. When I was 5, 6 years old, I would be brought to tears. They would make fun of me till I fucking cried. They broke me basically. But then eventually, after, when I'm 8, 9, 10 years old, now I'm getting a little fast with the jokes. You can't joke on me without getting a joke back. Like, and a lot of people don't really have that. They just have they can talk shit to people online because they feel like they're protected because they're not right in front of the person.
Yeah.
But if you was to actually give them something back, they will lose their shit. Yeah. I had a person 2 days ago, 2 days ago, he was in the comments because I said there was a meme that put up 1970s if I work enough hours, I could own a house.
Yeah.
2020s, if I work enough jobs, I could afford rent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just automatically try to rubber stamp me as, excuse me, try to rubber stamp me as this demographic. Like, oh, so you're this, and now I have to attack you. Like, oh, so now you're for the Democrats and the people, and you're into like this whole just give people what they want shit, and you guys are entitled. But his fucking argument was all over the place. Like it had nothing to do with what the meme was. And I
Mm.
think he only felt that way because he wasn't in front of me. So he can just be like, oh, I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, for real.
I gave him some answers back, some direct answers back, and it has to do with a lot of like reasoning. People don't know how to reason. They don't really understand logic or the idea of an argument, like the construct of what an argument should be.
Yes.
So they just like splurt out a bunch of shit, just attack you ad hominems directly, like, you know, just a bunch of bullshit to try to get you off your fucking feet.
Yeah.
But really, if we were together, if people were around each other and they were in each other's faces with that type of energy, then they can see their real consequences. Like they see the real consequences that happen for doing some shit like that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
for
think
real.
a lot of these kids don't really get that.
No,
You know?
it's like crazy. It's I don't know how if you've experienced this. In fact, it's probably a good question for you. Is how often in the last 5 years have you had a personal confrontation or a moment where you got a disagreement with somebody? It doesn't have to be any. It could be family or friends where you've actually been like, hang on a minute, let's talk about this, and then you've just gone through the motions of not an argument, but maybe a discussion or a dispute about something, and well, yeah. How many times has that happened within the last 5 years for you? Do you think?
I think
In person.
that only really happened where I can actually have a discussion with my girlfriend right now. That's about it. Everyone else, we're doing these weird attacks like, hey,
Yeah.
look, I got to call you out on this. You're doing this. And that's kind of like, I'm not with that. We shouldn't be doing that. And it becomes like, oh, how can you ever say? And it's just all this extra high energy shit that, of course, me with post traumatic stress, like I'm going to like flip. Like once I'm trying to like, hey, we're talking, but make sure. That,
Yeah.
and as soon as somebody tries to take it up a notch and they keep on going, I'm going to try first to be like, yo, chill. You see, I'm talking to you calmly. Why are you trying to take this to the next level when I'm just pointing something out for you? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. And then it just keeps on going. So then it's like, you brought out the fucking, you know, the crazy person in me, like the killer in me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know about, you know, my history and stuff, but I've had I could never have these discussions with my own mother. You know, I could never have those regular discussions with my brother.
Yeah.
Like it would always fly up into a fight. It would always fly up into a fight. And it wasn't because of me. It wasn't like I'm sitting there, oh, fuck you. Like I'm sitting there like if I'm wrong, yeah, I'm wrong about that. I'm wrong about that. You know, I'm wrong about that. But recently, before I got with my girl, like I had a whole situation with the person that I was doing music with.
Yeah.
He called his mom 27, 25. I don't know if he's 27 now, but he should be like, he was 25 then. 25-year-old kid called his mom and told her to tell me about the discussion that we were having.
Fuck. Yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy.
And honestly, from what I've seen in my life and what I've experienced, maybe this would be a little anecdotal, but there's a lot of those type of people out there.
Yeah.
They can't really defend themselves. They want it their way or the highway. And then if you actually check them or call them on that, they'll lose their shit. They'll act like the biggest victim in the world. They'll go and hit up their fucking mom to try to settle things. Like you're a grown ass man, but you can't even have this discussion with me. No one was talking about fighting. No one was. We were just having a discussion, and you call your mom.
Yeah, yeah. I've had similar incidents actually. I think so for me, and obviously I didn't know that much in regards to like your personal history and stuff. That's interesting to find out, man. And I think that kind of well, we always gravitate towards people in the world who've had similar experiences or that have, you know, something to offer us or teach us. I think
Absolutely.
mine's been like I've had to almost backpedal because when I was at school, I had a very like bumpy home life for a little while, and I was getting bullied quite badly by a couple of guys who were like, no one in our area would touch these guys. They were like a family that were like feared, that, you know, like you didn't fuck around with
Right.
them. You just, if they beat on you, you just let them.
You
And
just
it went
take it.
on
You
for,
just take it.
yeah, it went on for years, bro. Like they broke my nose, my jaw, knocked my teeth out, like bad stuff as a kid, you know. And
Yeah.
it got to the point one day I started training. One of my friends was like, he was a tough kid, and he said, look, next time he comes, he was like, don't just let it happen. He's like, you're gonna retaliate. You're just gonna fight. And I was like, I don't know how the fuck to do any of that. And he was like, no, we're gonna go and train, and when it happens next time, we're gonna fight. So this guy came up to me, and it was about probably 6 weeks. I went to the boxing club and started to learn to box, and I just thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. They're going to beat me anyway. They've been beating me for years. And I smacked this kid once, and he went straight to sleep. And I was like, what the fuck? You, you mean, yeah, straight out, snoring. I had to put him in a
Slap
recovery
somebody to
position.
sleep, Ben. Are you out
One,
here just slapping people to sleep? One hitter
yeah.
quitters.
And you know, like, I thought, what the fuck? I've done 3 years of like getting humiliated, beat on, everyone laughing. And then from that moment onwards, for the next 10 years, that was my answer to every situation I ever had. So now I've had to backpedal because my immediate go-to is extreme violence. I
Right.
didn't know anything else. So now
Right.
now we're getting to the point where I've realized now that I've made tons of mistakes in that realm where I probably could have avoided violence, but I was too scared. If I'm honest, I was
Right.
too scared because I felt the fear,
Absolutely.
and I didn't take responsibility for my own fear. I allowed that, you know, and
You
I'm at this
allowed your
point now.
fear. You allowed
Yeah,
your fear to like overcome and do make you do some shit that would be out of your character, right?
correct. Yeah, exactly. I did some mad things, but all because of being scared. And like it's made me realize now, like when you do have disagreements, I very rarely say a lot when I'm in big groups of people and stuff now. Like I used to be the joker, I'd be like the loudest person. I don't talk a lot now because if I've got nothing to offer or like I can see these arguments happening, and I just kind of like will sit and watch people. I'm not being, and people will ask, you know, if we have disagreements and stuff, they'll ask what I think. And as I start to tell them what I think, they've already gone on to what they think, you know. So I feel like it's impossible because you either row and you say, look, this is what I think, in which case it escalates to, like you said, the crazy making, you're this, well, what about this? Have you read the science on this? Here's an extract from fucking Bill Hicks's book back in 19, and it's got nothing to do with the
Right.
initial thing that you had a problem with because no
Right.
one's willing to drill there. It's too uncomfortable for you. So I just tend
Absolutely.
to say nothing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I literally said nothing for so long that I forgot how to talk. I literally went. I had a psychedelic experience, a spiritual
Mm,
awakening, whatever you want to call it, and
yeah.
I realized, okay, I'm talking too much, right? I'm
Mm,
saying too much. I'm giving everybody all my fears and doubts and everything that you can use to hurt me.
yes.
So
I share that.
I took
Yeah,
all
I
that
share that.
back. I stood quiet. And if it wasn't for this podcast, I'd probably continue to stay quiet. Like it's this podcast that makes me go, all right, let me express myself. I'm allowed to express myself. People are
Yeah.
watching, some people care. Let me, I can express myself. Because it was so for so long that I couldn't even feel like if I expressed myself, you wouldn't give a fuck. So why am I telling you? That's how much trauma I've been through, you
For
know?
real. Yeah, I share that. I think like you get to a point where you're just like every single person I've ever let in has stamped the door on my face. Like, how can I, how can I continue to do that? And now it's more selective. Like But even in settings, even in settings with family and stuff now, I know the arguments. I know how to, even if I disagree with something, like I don't gain anything by putting my point across anymore. And if like I can protect my own peace, that's my responsibility, is to protect my peace and myself, which I never understood for years. Now I understand it's my responsibility. It makes it a lot easier, because you're like, well, how do I feel? Okay, what's that going to achieve if I say something? Probably not much. I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. And if that's, you know, detrimental to the rest of the group in the room, I'm not hurting anybody. I just don't need to say anything.
Right.
It's a weird position when you go from always trying to show everybody, you know, I'm this, I'm that, to actually not showing anybody anything, because I don't need to anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a defensive stance. You know, it's always on the defense. You're always on your back foot, like, hold up. But no, actually, and it's always like, actually, no, like you try to explain yourself away, and people are just like, we don't want to hear it, because for at least in my experience, the people that were doing that to me were just trying to get me in that mode.
In the mode,
they were just trying to have me on my back foot. They were just trying to have me defending myself, so that way they could laugh, or they could be like, look at this guy, look, he's acting crazy again. Meanwhile, they were like gaslighting me and doing little bullshit to get me there.
For real.
Right? Yeah, man.
And now, like, I suppose, I don't know if it's the same for you. For me now, because I now have this extra wealth of energy that I can control more. So like, if there's things I do want to talk on, or people I do want to help, I have the reserve tank now, because I'm not just using it up in my daily bullshit with like people who are trying to press my buttons.
Absolutely.
Do you feel the same?
Absolutely. Yeah, I used to spend hours on hours, just like I would find somebody to fucking kill their ear, just talk to them on the phone, like, this motherfucker. Like, it'd be like, all right, that got, you know, that made me feel good. I got something off my chest. But what about that person? I'm just like slaughtering their fucking ear with all my problems and all my bullshit that's going on in my life. And, you know, you have to like take a step back and start to be like, okay, how can I do this shit properly? I need to make sure that I'm not coming across wrong, and I shouldn't be bombarding anybody with something that's going on in my life. Now, if I need somebody to talk to, it's different. But it's different from like, hey man, this shit happened. What do you think? From, oh, let me tell you what happened. This motherfucker here, and you're just like, oh, fucking super upset about some bullshit that somebody did to you on purpose, just so you could be that upset.
And now the person that you're speaking to has also absorbed all that, and they're now feeling mad. And we're a collective, aren't we? And the more that we do this, the more we spread this thing. That's what I try to be a bit more aware of. I think one thing I've noticed now, since I've been more of a reflective character, I had a psychedelic experience, or a couple that have, I didn't realize they impacted me the way they did until like I'm where I am now. But now when I go to places and like I sit around with like a group of people, and like inevitably someone will talk about someone that you know, I used to be able to just sit and be like, oh yeah, I knew that. What about when this happened? I can't do it anymore. I can't. I hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So I'll just sit, and people will look to you for reassurance. Like, do you remember when he did this? And I'm like, I've got nothing to say about that, bro. And it pisses them off, because they're like, what? We're not going to get involved in the gossip. Like, no, bro, I've got nothing to say, man.
Right. Yeah, and it's hard living that type of life, because the majority of people, at least for me, the majority of people around me are just so engulfed in doing that. So to be the person to be like, nah, I'm good, or I'm just gonna, it's like, oh, you don't give a fuck about this. Oh, you don't give a fuck about what I'm saying. Like,
that's what I get at the moment. They're like, you're too good for us. You're too mature. No, I just got nothing to add. Like, and now I'm finding myself like, whereas before I'd be out every weekend, or I'd be going to see different groups. Now I'm just like, fuck that, I'm writing music, or I'm in my room playing video games. I've regressed. I'm like a 15-year-old. I'm playing Warzone at the weekends. It's like, when the fuck did this happen? I was always out, you know what I mean? It's just me and my missus, all that now, you know, and that's it. And I never thought that would be the case. What's I
Yeah,
wanted to ask you, Poe, as well, just to
go
jump
ahead.
topics quickly. How's things in the States right now? What's the kind of look for you and feel for you, and whereabouts are you based?
As far as the state of the
Just the overall
situation,
feel, yeah, overall feel, the COVID stuff, like what's going on with like the feel of the place you're in, and
well, right now I'm in a very conservative, traditional area. So, like, if I go to the bar, they're not telling me to put on a mask. They're just like, go ahead, you know, oh, it's all right, whatever. Like, the workers might have to put on a mask, but the people that go in as customers, they're like, whatever. They're not like
yeah,
super strict. Where I'm from, Jersey City, New York, what I've heard is only horror stories. Like, now you have to be vaccinated to get into the bar. Like, New York City, you have to have your card of vaccination to get into the bar, to get in, to go to a movie, whatever the fuck it is. And yeah, that I'm not happy about, because now it's like I can't even go home and feel like it's home.
for real, yeah,
Like, now I go home, and if I go back to my town, my city, it's going to be like this bizarro land where I have to like oblige by their rules or whatever the fuck.
yeah,
And over here is not so much like that. Like, if you got to go to the grocery store, yeah, you wear a mask, but that's like the only place that you're really wearing a mask. Grocery store, gas station, whatever.
yeah,
Everywhere else, they're not acting like that. They're just simply not. But if I went an hour south from here, I'm in Chicago,
yeah.
and
Okay,
it's exactly like that still.
so it's
You
kind of
know?
like the big cities, the big hubs have become that way, but the kind of more suburban areas are a bit more lax.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
probably
Because
similar,
it's like
similar.
right. It's like the end up suburban country people will end up more conservative, more traditional on their
Yeah,
values, as opposed to the cities now are more into whatever is in right now. So, and it goes with fashion, it goes with music, it goes with all those things, and it also goes with politics. So, if what's in right now is you got to take this and you got to do that, and you before you can do this, that's what they're into.
yeah.
It's
Nice.
really
Yeah.
fucked up. It's really fucked up, man. Well, how's the state of music as far as music venues over there in the UK? Are you able to perform? Is there a lot of music venues that are open? Is there like high restrictions? Like, what's the case on that?
Bro, the majority of them they were fucked before COVID. To be honest, like they didn't have no money, no funding. Obviously, like a lot of people won't come out to gigs and stuff unless it's like headline acts in, the kind of like grassroots musician thing was slowly dying because the internet's the new place. Like people would prefer to like discover artists from TikTok or Insta rather than actually go out and see them in the flesh. So like they were on their knees anyway in regards to the funding, and COVID's just like probably done, I reckon 40% of the grassroots venues in the UK now. So there's the shows are few and far between. And if you do perform at a show, I mean, if you're going to get an audience, like it's this is the most disheartening thing for me. I think like in everything is that we're inevitably, diving further into the digital world. Technology's got a lot to offer. Like we're able to do what we're doing now. This is amazing.
Right,
But there is, in my opinion, there's no substitute for human connection. There's no substitute. Like it doesn't matter how amazing you build these cyber network metaverse things. There's nothing that will feel the same because we give off a vibration, an energy when we're around each other that you're not going to get through
right,
a screen.
right,
And I just feel like I don't know. I hope that people will take a back step after the metaverse stuff and think actually I don't want to give myself to that. But I don't. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not convinced. I think a lot of people are going to plunge even further into the tech because again, it's easier. It's easier to be who you want to be in a fake world than it is to stick your chest out, stand on stage in front of three people sometimes and sing your songs and with passion. If you can do
right.
that as a gaming character and they filled in the audience with bots, and you've got some people there, you know, artists are going to feel more comfortable doing that because they don't have to get out of there, but then you don't get the feeling. So yeah, I'm not hopeful, bro, about grassroots music. I think there'll still be big headline acts and stuff, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being bleak. I'm sure there's many other people out there like me that's still pushing and trying to be the best they can in the art or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely slowing.
Right. Yeah, and in the US for sure there's a lot of underground acts, a lot of people that I know that are still touring, still finding the little hole in the wall spots to do a show in. And but that's not everywhere.
Yeah,
You know, it's not, you have to be in a certain part of the country. You have to be in more of a suburban country area for the most part to be able to get that type of venue to perform whatever the fuck you want to perform. Because nowadays, if you are, you know, if you're in the city, you're not gonna. First of all, you're not. It's gonna be hard pressed to get those venues. And now with the situation with the lockdown, it just made it 100 times worse. You know, because now you have to book the show in a city, but you got to make sure everybody has their shots so that way they can come to the show. If you only could bring 30, 40
yeah,
people and
for
say
real.
half of them are not vaxxed, then now your show is half the size. It doesn't make any sense. So a lot of people that are in the underground right now, they're just avoiding those big cities, you know. They're just avoiding those
Yeah,
shits
okay, and
completely.
they're just doing the outskirts.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So what's your
yeah.
this is my last question for you, Ben. What's your
Sure, man.
plans? What's your plans as far as like, cause you're not looking to get signed, right? You're not look,
Not
or are
anymore.
you
No,
looking to get signed?
no. No, not anymore. No, I'm doing things my way, regardless. If an opportunity comes up with a label in the future where there's some sort of partnership that I have ownership and responsibility and control over, then I'm open to that. But I mean, I've had so many nightmares with this stuff, man. You wouldn't believe. Like, I've had like been in and out of label meetings. I've had managers run rings around me and disappear. I've been shelved for the last year because my last manager was like, XYZ we need to complete before I take this to Ireland. And the music, like, is that I'm really, really proud of the music now. And I'm like at a personal point in life now where I don't need somebody else to tell me that it's good in order for me to put it
Right,
out. So I'm
right,
just gonna run with it. I've got probably, like, you'll see a release from me every 2 to 3 weeks, and they're like stuff that we've been sat on for a while. We've just got a new studio space back in London, so we're able to record, like live instruments and stuff as well. So we've got more room to do, bigger productions and stuff with. So yeah, man, I'm just gonna roll and just self-release. I'm gonna look at promotion avenues for, like, I will look at TikTok and things like that. If I've got records, I'll pay, for people to make the videos and stuff for them if they want to. For me
right,
personally, like, I feel like a fucking idiot trying to make TikTok videos, like,
right,
and I wouldn't be true to who I am. So, like, I'll give the songs out there. Like, some of the stuff you see on there is amazing. Some people are so creative, and more power to them. And if they want to use my music to make creative things, I'm all for that. But the majority of the things I see on TikTok is just like women talking about how they're going to fuck people and changing clothes in the dark so that you can see the outline of their bodies and stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, I can't spend too much time in that that world or contribute to it because, like, yeah, it's just nuts, man. Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, so I think next, well, I suppose you've opened up the. I can announce my next single. You've opened
Yeah,
up
yeah.
to do that.
Announce your next single. Let everybody know where they could find you. You know,
Damn
give
straight.
us the whole thing.
So the next single is called Woke, and it will be out on the 22nd of this month. Woke is a Woke is a record that I think you can probably gain what it's about by the title. We shot the video around in and around London on a 360 cam, which was very difficult. I don't know if you've ever performed underground or on a subway where there's millions of people around, but it was nuts.
No, I
So
bet.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that coming out. I will be putting up a pre-save link. So if you guys want to save that before it drops, you can go and grab that from my link, which will be in my bio from tomorrow onwards. And then the follow-up record for that will be out on the 3rd of December, and it's called Life's Too Short. And that record is about my kind of journey through music, and it kind of the video kind of takes you through from me as a little kid up to me as an adult, as to where I am now. And that's kind of going to set the stage for next year. Tour dates and stuff. I will be performing again at the start of next year in London. We're organising some dates at the moment. And you can find me on @BHunterOfficial on all social media. I'm most active on Instagram. Like I said, I don't really do too long on TikTok. It's soft porn,
Right.
and I'm trying to eliminate that from my life as well. You can find the majority of my stuff on Instagram, but BHunterOfficial across the board. And Ben Hunter on Spotify, Apple Music, if you'd like to go and listen to some bits that are already out. And YouTube as well. There's hundreds of videos if you want to go and check me on there too.
No doubt, man. Thank you for coming through, Ben Hunter. Thank everybody in the chat for your love and attention, your time and attention, and your love and your contributions in the chat. Leave a comment if you can, subscribe, push all the buttons you can, just not the dislike one. Don't press that one. Press the like one. But
always the like one.
Man, this is the Street Shaman Podcast. I am Shamanic Poe, and I'm here with Ben Hunter. And we out of here, motherfucker.